How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I am going to talk to you today about NAT, or Nordic American Tankers, and this is something that I've talked about a lot. If you follow the channel, you know that I've followed NAT for a while now and made a lot of videos on them. And this is something where I really enjoy making NAT videos, and this one's going to be pretty beefy today. It's going to be whether I am planning to buy, sell, or hold NAT, and whether you should do that if you're looking at buying it or if you already have the stock. So I enjoy making these videos, but also I make other videos that I really enjoy too. For example, I looked at GNUS, which is a stock that has gone up dramatically over about 3,000% over the last couple weeks. I've looked at Nikola Motors and a bunch of other things and other companies. I also talk about how I make extra money and also just my stocks in general, what I'm buying and selling. So if you guys find any kind of value out of this today, please hit that subscribe button below so that you can watch some of those other videos too, because while I love making these videos, the all-powerful YouTube algorithm really favors these as opposed to some of my other videos. These get pushed to a lot more people, and I think we can really grow this audience here. We're getting so close to 1,500 subscribers, so if you have to do one thing nice today, please hit that subscribe button below and hit the like button. That really helps out the channel. And I think that I provide a good amount of value, not just for NAT, but for other companies and other stocks too. But today we're going to look at NAT, whether you should buy, hold, or sell, and then also what is going on with the stock right now, because there have been some major price fluctuations over the last week. And it's something where I've had a lot of questions on it. I made a video earlier this week, actually 2 videos earlier this week, about how NAT was getting short squeezed, and we'll go over that and kind of where we're at with that now, because there has been some change in that over the last week. So first of all, let's take a look at their stock price. Last Thursday, around midday, they were selling for $4.30. And if you were following me then, I was talking about how I really wanted to buy if the price dropped to $4.20, and how I was going to increase my stake by about 50%, I believe, 40 or 50%. And that is something that I never got to do because it went down to about $4.28. But even then, I was bullish on the stock, and I've said that in videos. You can go back and look, and there are a multitude of reasons for that. And I get some hate from people because NAT might not be as good a value as some of these other oil tanker stocks, but I still think that has a lot of room to run. And on a day like today, where the general stock market was actually down pretty significantly throughout the day, NAT had a good day, and they had a good day compared to the other oil tankers. So earlier this week, the stock bumped up pretty significantly. It went up about 25%, and a lot of people thought that we were going to get a big short squeeze, and I thought that too. And I'll go through that earlier, but a lot of us think that this stock is going to go up pretty significantly, but then it also dipped down the next day. It was down about 4 or 5% yesterday. So I got some people asking me about that, or just pointing it out, saying that the stock was down, which they weren't being mean about it. They're just letting me know. But yesterday I saw that, and really a lot of the oil tanker stocks and a lot of the different travel stocks were down pretty significantly. If you look at Delta or Carnival Cruise Lines, they were both down about 7%. And there were a lot of other companies that were down significantly too. So this didn't seem like it was something in the oil tanker market that was worrying me. And then today we have a nice day of about up 2%. So let's look at just some of the knowledge that we already have. And if you're looking just to see whether I'm going to buy, hold, or sell, you can skip down through to the end. I'll put a timestamp in the description below when I start talking about that. But I want to go over what we know already, just to reaffirm what our plans are and really make sure that we're all on the same page here. So watch through to the end to make sure that you see everything that's going on here. So right now we have NAT, and they had a really good first quarter. They posted profits of about 27 cents a share, and they beat expectations by about 8%. Pretty significant because the expectations were pretty high, but we're slated and we're expected to have even higher earnings this quarter. And it says we're supposed to get 3 cents higher earnings. I think it's going to be higher than that. I think that we're going to beat that because we had a lot of very long-term contracts that NAT signed that were for very significant amounts of money, like $60,000 a day, $80,000 a day, and we saw a lot of profits over these last few months. We saw that these contracts were filed for 3 months, 6 months, 1 month, these long terms. And even though the spot tanker rate has fallen recently, we still have those long-term contracts. And not only that, but we also have a very nice dividend history from NAT, and they really are trying to pay out their shareholders with dividends. This is something that they've done for a long time. As you can see here, they used to have very significant dividends here, but their stock price has gone down, their dividend yield is somewhat the same. So they're trying to give out a lot of these profits in dividends. And as I've said before, as I pointed it out, they declared 3 quarters worth of dividends in about 3 months here. So the fact that they have enough money sitting around that they are comfortable declaring a 20-cent dividend is pretty significant, because the stock was down to about $4.50 or $5 when they declared this. So that's a significant amount of money to say partway through a quarter that you can pay that out. So I think we're going to have really good earnings going forward. And they might also buy back shares or pay down debt. It's not just necessarily dividends that they're going to give us to reward us as shareholders. They might be able to increase the book value per share or the earnings per share by buying back shares, or just looking out further into the future, they might be able to pay down debt so that we're more profitable in the future. So not only do we have that going on for us and going for us just in general, but they're going to release these earnings about the same time that everyone else is releasing their earnings for Q2. And as we know from the government, we are expected to drop about 42% in GDP. So that is a huge amount. This is going to be the worst quarter for a ton of different companies. Most companies in the world and in the US are going to have the worst quarter that they've had in a very long time, because a lot of them haven't been able to be open. A lot of them have had to pay extra expenses to be able to transition to having everyone work from home, or they just haven't been able to work from home in general. It's going to show that we had a very terrible quarter, and right when we have that, these oil tanker stocks are going to be making so much money. So that's going to be quite amazing, because I think that that might push some retail investors and maybe some hedge funds and some of the big money to get into these stocks before the ex-dividend date, so that they can try to get some of the money from this. And as you can see here, we have a couple months before the next ex-dividend date. So there is some time for people to jump in on the stock and try to soak up some of that nice dividend, because 20 cents, it's a $5.20 stock or so. That's a pretty significant amount of dividends. I know that some people say dividends don't matter, but dividends are a sign that the company is making a lot of money. So if you buy the stock and you feel confident, it's kind of icing on top of the cake. So another thing that we can look at is the short selling pressure. If you don't know what short selling is, you can essentially borrow shares from someone, sell them off, and then try to buy back at a lower price and give them back to the person that you borrowed them from initially. So this is a way for people to be able to cash in on a stock that they think is going to go down in price. So for this, NAT has a lot of shares that are shorted, and this is a change that we just have seen today, actually. And I've looked over the last couple days and maybe a week or two, and this hadn't changed recently, but before today, we had prior just short of 19 million shares that were shorted, and this number was actually up here. But as you can see here, now we have less short sellers. So some people were forced out of the stock, which is most likely why it got pushed up recently a little bit. But a lot of people think that this share price is going to go down. So they are betting against the stock. But what happens is when the stock price starts to go up, a lot of these short sellers have to buy back into the stock, because if they, let's say they borrow and they sold the shares and they're trying to short the stock, if the price goes up and it doubles, that is a terrible thing for these short sellers, because there's no limit to how much they can lose when they short sell, because short selling is a lot riskier than just buying a stock. So when you buy a stock, you can only lose however much you have in the stock, but short sellers can lose a ton of money, multiples of what they shorted. So they really have to start buying back into the shares when the stock price starts going up. So as we have this stock price go up a little bit, the short sellers have to buy back in, which pushes the shares higher. And then retail investors add on to that because they see that the shares are going up. And then you have more short sellers they have to buy back in. And it's called a short squeeze. So these short sellers have to buy back into the stock when it starts to go up, causing more pressure and more short sellers to get back into the stock. And it's just this repeating cycle. That is something that we can look forward to. If the share price goes up a little bit, a lot of people, me included, think that it's going to go up a lot because we still have a lot of people that are betting against a stock here. However, there are a couple reasons that people could be worried about the oil tankers in general. And one thing that came out recently was that the US was going to put some sanctions on oil tankers that were doing business with Venezuela. So this doesn't seem to be affecting NAT right now or a lot of the other oil tankers that I talk about, but they have talked about increasing how many tankers they're putting sanctions on. So that's something to keep in your mind and just continue to watch the news or subscribe to the channel because I'll talk about it if it affects NAT. But that's something to be wary of. And then one other thing that you really need to keep an eye on and know about, and I've talked about this before, each week NAT puts up this tanker market index on their website, and it shows the spot market price of different kinds of their ships and just the total oil tanker market. And as you can see here, a week ago they were selling for $32,000 a day. This week, or last week now, they were selling for about $20,000 a day. So that's pretty significant. That's a big drop. And that's about what they were making last year, but they had a decent year last year compared to the last few years before that. And they've also earned so much money already. As you can see, year to date, they're still up almost threefold from what they were last year. So even if you were able to buy this for the same share price as it was before, you're getting a much better value because they've earned so much money. And I realize that the stock price is up significantly from where it was before, but there is a kind of scenario where we might see these kinds of numbers go up again because there was a tick up in the spot market price for Suezmax tankers a week ago, so it could go back up. It's not necessarily just going down. And then just a reminder, like I said before, some of their contracts are very long term. Some of their contracts are still making a lot of money from before. And just a reminder too, a lot of their big profits came in Q2 in April, not just in March. So a lot of their profits are going to be Q2 and we haven't seen those yet. Now comes the big question. Am I going to buy? Am I going to sell? Am I going to hold my NAT shares? And right now I'm going to hold. So I want to go through the ex-dividend date because I want to collect that next dividend of 20 cents a share. And some people think it's not significant. I think it's pretty big. It's about a 4% dividend. Of course, if I knew that they're going to go down more than 20 cents, in the meantime, I would sell them, obviously, because I'd rather take the extra value that I would have now. But I don't know exactly where they're going to go. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have a crystal ball. So make sure you're doing your own research with this kind of thing. But I think that they are going to go up, and I'm going to hold on to my shares. So I don't really want to buy back in because I don't want to increase my risk in the sector. I hold two other companies, which are STNG and DHT anyways, and I have some money in NAT too. So I don't really want to put a lot more money into the sector. I've always wanted to diversify my holdings so that way if I've just misread a situation or if there's some kind of thing that I can't foresee happening and it just happens to occur, then I don't get destroyed because of what's going on that I can't foresee. So I plan on holding through the ex-dividend date. However, if the stock price goes up above $8 in value before the ex-dividend date, then I'll sell. So we're at $5.22 right now. If we get short squeezed and we go up to $8, I'll probably sell and just take my profit. So I would have made over a 60% return, and I'm happy with that. So I would sell then, but if we don't hit that, or if we hit $8 after the ex-dividend date, I'll also sell. But if we never get to $8 and we're past that ex-dividend date, I'm not sure, and I'm not exactly set in stone with what I'll do. So I'll let you know if we get to the point where maybe we're at $6 or $7 and it's after the ex-dividend date. I'll let you know what I'm going to do going forward, and maybe I'll sell, maybe I'll hold on. But at this point, I just haven't formulated my vision on what I'll do after that point. But there's also the question of, if you haven't bought into the stock, is it still worth buying into? If you're just looking at it, is it worth buying more if you have extra money? Well, I believe that you should be well diversified. So if you're looking at putting your life savings into the stock, I personally don't believe in that. I don't think that that's smart. But if you're looking at investing an amount that you're comfortable with and that won't make you go broke, then I think that you can look at buying the stock still. Now, that being said, this could go up to $9, $10, $11 in the next few months, even higher maybe. But it could also drop down to about $4 or so. So I'm not saying that it's going to go up. You should definitely do your own research, do your own due diligence. I'm not the person that can tell you what to do. But in my eyes, I see this going up over time, and everything's a calculated guess, right? So we don't know where it's going to go, but we just do our best. That's why we are well diversified, so that over time we have enough picks that do well, that they out-earn the picks that we took that did poorly. So I think that this has some good legs going forward. I think it's going to go up in price, but I don't know that. So, just be safe and really do your due diligence going forward. But let me know what you guys think below. Is NAT still a stock that you're buying? Is it just a stock that you're watching? Are you trying to sell it? Did you sell it? And let me know what you think below. Again, thank you for hitting the like button and the subscribe button. We're so close to 1,500, and I think we're going to hit there soon. And you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.